Amanda, thanks for joining us at In the Chair, representing as General Manager, Western Sydney Business Connection.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Amanda, you are the General Manager of a very well-established, long-serving organisation, Western Sydney Business Connection, a wonderful organisation. What's your day look like? What's your role over a day?
Look, at WSBC, my role at WSBC really is about fulfilling our mission as an organisation, which is connecting for growth. So we work really hard on connecting businesses with each other for growth, also connecting businesses with the opportunities that are in Western Sydney so they can achieve growth, and also helping Western Sydney businesses connect with government organisations, agencies, special programs, grants, whatever it is that can help them build their capacity and their capability so that they can grow as a business.
And that's really important because the word connect is in your headline, so it plays an important role.
Plays a huge role in what we do at WSBC. We deliver that through a number of platforms, so including our very well-known business leader luncheons. That's sort of a mainstay of what WSBC does. And as you know, when you come to our events, we really go out of our way to make sure we're connecting businesses with each other. From the coloured name tags to our seating preferences to all those things, so that we're really making sure that businesses that come along to those events are getting the absolute most out of that 2.5 hours that they're there.
I think people take a leap out of your book, if I might say, because it is really strategic how you bring together people who can benefit by that link. And you to be congratulated for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And we also take a lot of time, not just myself, but the whole team at WSBC, including the board, really take a lot of time to understand our members and what it is they're looking to gain from being a member of WSBC, so that we really are connecting strategically. So really understanding what the needs of one particular business is, so that we can really connect them with the right organisations to help them with whatever they're working on. It can be anything from recruitment to special projects to marketing, whatever it is. Obviously, most businesses are members of WSBC for business development purposes. That's why everybody is there. And having come from a business development background, I really understand that process, and really do whatever I can to help people grow their business through those connections, as I say.
How many functions would you have a year? I mean, you're always so busy. How many would you have?
Look, we have a number of business leader luncheons, which are our sort of flagship events, if you like. On top of that, we run other events that include workshops, strategic matching events, which is a new program that we've commenced late last year, which is really about connecting local businesses with the Tier 1 contractors in Western Sydney. So all in all, we'd run, I'd say, at least an event a month.
That's fantastic, and that's excitement. It allows you to work out your own strategy at the business level.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fantastic. Western Sydney been good for you?
Western Sydney's been very good for me. So I grew up in Western Sydney, and it's something that I'm really, really immensely proud of. I always felt that Western Sydney wasn't getting the attention that it deserved, and the people of Western Sydney and the businesses in Western Sydney weren't getting the attention that it deserved. And I was very specifically on the lookout for a role that could help me contribute back to the region that I was so incredibly proud of.
That's wonderful, and it's really an affirmation of who you are and what you stand for, so that's wonderful.
I also think, Western Sydney Business Connection is a not-for-profit, which means all the members' funds really go back into delivering value back to the members. So we do things, to use an overused phrase, on the smell of an oily rag. So it really does require a lot of passion, a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication. And I think the board was on the lookout for someone who really felt that about the region and really cared. And certainly that's what I do.
You do it very well. Greatest success to date with the connection?
Absolutely, with that. I mean, our most recent State of the Region out at the William Inglis I was incredibly proud of that event. It was a beautiful event, and really, it was of a calibre, I think rarely seen, and we were all really proud of that, as we should be. And the Premier really is very engaged with our organisation and really does what she can to be part of that event every year. But I think to date the most, for me, that I feel most proud about our strategic matching program. So what we really tried to do is we looked at really practical ways that WSBC could contribute back to our members and back to the SMEs in Western Sydney. And we saw, like everybody does, this incredible infrastructure boom that's happening right now, this incredible pipeline of work, and really started to think, okay, well, what can we do to start connecting local businesses with that opportunity, with that huge opportunity, which isn't just now, it's for the next 20 years. And we really started to see that there was a shift in thinking in those tier ones, the land leases, multiplexes, CPBs. They were really keen to engage with the local supply chain, but really were, I guess, struggling to a certain extent to do that, or it was a challenge for them to do that. And that's where we stepped in. We created, as a first step, we created the strategic matching events, and it's essentially like speed dating. We get land lease, multiplex, CPB in one room with local suppliers, and they get 15-minute one-on-one interviews with the tier one suppliers, and of that we've already generated a whole bunch of new business for local suppliers that they wouldn't have otherwise got.
Sorry to interrupt, Matt. That's exciting. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about that? I think that's a fantastic concept in the sense of people talk about things, but you're saying people are actually doing it, getting 15-minute window of opportunity.
It's absolutely brilliant. So what we've found, and I've actually just completed a survey of, so we've been running this since the end of 2017. So we've had 3 separate events, a cohort of probably about 100 SMEs that have already been through that program, and we've managed to connect them with up to 40 buyers. And of those, there's already at least 10 or 15 that have won work. I mean, some of these things take time, like it's not going to happen overnight. So we do have some feedback from the SMEs that there is, although they haven't won work just now, there is definitely work in the pipeline for them. And what we realised was that what SMEs needed was a very direct and one-on-one opportunity. So, you know, let's take a concrete cutter or somebody who produces hydraulics for a naval ship. For them to come along to a business networking function, they're probably not going to get as much out of that as, say, somebody in the professional services might. So what we really needed to do was to create an opportunity for them to bring them into the fold as well. So really what they needed was this one-on-one chance to pitch their business and understand what the opportunities were with some of these tier one contractors that you know are winning incredible massive projects as part of the infrastructure boom, but might not have the connection to the local SMEs in Western Sydney.
Well, you'd have been congratulated for that, Amanda. That sounds absolutely exciting, and it's bringing great results. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, it really is. And we're now looking at ways that we can, you know, although we're really proud of the number of businesses that have won work as a result of those, as a result of those events, there are also a number of businesses that haven't. So we're looking at ways, you know, what can we do with the existing infrastructure? So tapping into, you know, Small Biz Connect, tapping into Training Services New South Wales, tapping into some other really great resources, and trying to connect those businesses with the opportunities that can help them build their capacity and capability in order to meet the demands of those bigger tier one contractors. So we're really looking at ways that we can grow their capacity and, as I say, their capabilities.
That's exciting. Is the Aerotropolis an asset in terms of being able to facilitate that type of strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the biggest infrastructure projects happening in Western Sydney right now. We are doing a number of strategic matching programs specifically around that project. We are doing one specifically in the Aboriginal business space later in this year, specifically around that project.
So, sorry to interrupt again. That's exciting. Tell me about that. You know, why has the connection taken that philosophy, and what's it doing to take that particular experience forward?
Look, it really is, as I mean, I keep going back to it, it really is about connecting for growth. So we have connections in the SME space, both in Indigenous and non-Indigenous businesses across Western Sydney. So it's how can we take those businesses and connect them to the opportunity. And we've managed to develop really strong relationships with a number of Indigenous businesses in the region, and saw this as a huge need, something that's really, really sorely needed, I think, in the region, connecting Indigenous business with some of those large projects.
Well, again, that is just a wonderful confirmation of the values that you stand for and trying to help a whole range of different stakeholders and other people in our region. So again, that's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. I'm really proud of it. Thank you.
Where do you think Western Sydney will be in 20 years' time? What's your take on what it looks like?
Well, I think the stats, I guess, sort of speak for themselves. We're going to have 2 million people, making up more than half of Sydney's population. It's already Australia's third largest economy, so it is a real powerhouse. But even just over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a huge shift in the key industry sectors of Western Sydney, with a shift away from, even though manufacturing will always be incredibly important to the region, there's been a bit of a shift away from manufacturing. There's more focus now on health and allied services. So I think we'll start to see some real changes in the key industry sectors and the ecosystems that support those. We'll obviously see a massive growth in population. It'll be really interesting to see how the vision of the 30-minute city unfolds. I think that's it's a fabulous
Concept,
dream and ideal. I think it's probably going to be some challenging times ahead, moving towards that outcome.
and where will the challenge come from in that model then?
Look, it's the age-old problem of infrastructure keeping up with population, and it's just the way it is. I think it is a difficult challenge for infrastructure to keep up with the population growth, and I think that will continue to be an issue. And obviously connectivity. What I think will be really interesting to see is the impact of technology. You think in 2000, which doesn't seem that long ago, we didn't really even have the internet. So where we'll be in another 20 years will be amazing, and I don't think many of us can even really foresee what that will look like. But I definitely know that technology will play a huge role in that. And I think now, even in the last 5 years, and I'm sure you'll agree, there is, with the shift in things like hot desking and working remotely and all those sorts of things, the future of work, I think, will be very, very different to what we see now. And I think with the technology that we have, things like Skype and Zoom and all those various platforms that just connect people with each other when they're not in the same place, I think will really change the way we work. I think it'll be an interesting time in 20 years' time, and I can't wait to see what Western Sydney looks like then.
Yes, it's again an exciting picture to paint. If you're a Rembrandt or a Picasso, what it'd look like. Amanda, you're having a dinner party on Saturday, and you'd like to invite 3 friends. Who would you invite, and for what reason?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Everybody says that.
Invite you, of course.
Without me, I'll be the waiter, right? But who would you invite, and why?
Look, I think arts and culture, it has a huge role to play in our society, and I think arts and culture in not just Western Sydney, I think the whole of Australia, it really has fallen a little by the wayside. I think I don't think we value it as much as we should. So I think from that perspective, it would be great to have somebody there who could share some insights and some knowledge and some understanding. I think.
You've got anyone in particular?
Well, I think Dolla Merrilees. I don't know if you know Dolla. She was once the director of the Museum of Applied Arts and Science, and I think she has a real great understanding of the importance of arts and culture in society. I don't know who else. I really can't.
Well,
Everybody probably says Nelson Mandela, don't they? But
well, a couple have, but I mean, can you think of someone, a philosopher or an artist or a mum or dad, or like what I'm saying is, the values that you have, would you like to share them on with a meal?
Look, I absolutely think there's a couple of things that we as I say, have fallen by the wayside. I think our focus on the environment and where we're going as a society, as a disposable society. So I think somebody like David Suzuki, somebody who really understands the conundrum that we've found ourselves in, and can really provide some insights into a way out of it. As I say, somebody from the arts and culture space, somebody who has some insights on how arts and culture can help elevate us as a society. And Dola Merrilees comes to mind because I really admire her, and I admire the work that she's done to date. And I think just from a spiritual perspective, I mean, you can't really go past the Dalai Lama. I mean, the man has, he's got a good soul. I mean, who else other than the Dalai Lama can really, I think, tap into the human condition? And he has so much compassion and empathy and understanding, and so little judgment. And I think that's a beautiful characteristic in a person.
Amanda, thank you for joining us today at In the Chair. It's been absolutely a privilege to have you here and represent Western Sydney Business Connection. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks for having me.